What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the podcast. So glad you're here today. Today, we're talking about how to go from low-paying clients to higher-ticket clients, going from $500 jobs to $5,000 jobs, your first $2,000 job, all the way up to maybe your first $10,000 job, five-figure job, whatever it might be. Everyone's asking this question.
Yes.
How do you go from lower-paying jobs to higher-ticket jobs? And we're going to be answering that in this episode. Really excited for this episode. This episode came from a really fun call we had the other day.
Yeah.
Talk about it, Christy. Talk about it.
We just started our 6-week Creative Rise Mastermind round 15, which completely sold out, by the way. So if you were trying to get in on round 15, we had a ton of applications come through. And if you did not get in on this round 16 is coming September of 2026, which is awesome. But we got started with our crew this last Sunday, which was so fun. We're actually going to read off all their names at the end of this podcast. Yeah. So if you're curious on who got in, we're going to give everyone a shout out for round 15, which is awesome.
Shout out to round 15. But this episode actually came from a moment on our welcome call. So we had our kickoff call on Sunday, our welcome call, and we had a great question get asked at the end of the call when we always end all of our calls, a Q&A. Shout out to Will Latham. He's from Texas. He's from College Station, Texas. He runs LumaWorks Video, and he asked a phenomenal question. He's 20 years old. He's killing it right now. His business is a couple years old, and he's actually doing really well. And this mastermind is going to really help him continue to grow his business. But he asked a super smart question. And when you ask smart questions, ideally, you're going to get a good answer, and you're going to be able to grow your business. So Will asked this question right here. We're actually going to play you the actual clip from our welcome call. So jump on in with us into our welcome call for 1 second where Will asked this phenomenal question.
What info do you have on the transition from low-paying, small one-off videos to big, expensive brand deals? I know the answer is just to go make videos for people who have more money, who need videos. But what advice do you have going from smaller, lower-paying clients to someone who's big?
Yes. Okay. I'll answer that one first, and then I'll go to the first question. They're both great questions. Hand up if you like both those questions, by the way.
Yeah.
I think those are great questions to kick off. Okay. The first answer: how do you get your prices to go from small to large for any industry? It doesn't matter if it's video, if it's weddings, whatever it is, okay? Here's the answer. Write this one down. You have to solve problems that hurt more. Higher paychecks, bigger checks, bigger payments come from more painful problems, okay?
So Joey went on to answer inside of the welcome call, but I'm going to bring you back here because honestly, that audio is terrible.
It's a little bit rough.
And I'm going to save your ears. So we're actually going to talk about the answer that Joey and I gave to Will about how the heck do you go from low-paying clients, low-ticket jobs to high-end jobs without just going, I just need to pitch people with more money, because kicker, that doesn't always mean you're going to get paid more.
It's not always the business with more money that actually will pay you more. That's not always how it works. So we're going to break down the exact answer that we gave Will. I gave you a taste of it right there. And it is that higher paychecks, higher invoices, bigger deposits into your bank account come from solving bigger problems, solving problems that hurt more, okay? So we're going to break that down, but the rest of this answer is quite, honestly, it shocked a lot of people. We saw a lot of people writing it down. This might be new to you. Maybe even that statement I just said might be new to you, and it's super important that you actually take the mindset of what we're going to be breaking down today on this question, and you install it into your head, install it into your business, because this was game-changing for me. It's been game-changing for Christy.
Yeah.
We even had this conversation maybe 2 hours ago. We were quoting a client for a job who wanted a next day turnaround for a video that we were going to be shooting, 2 videos that we are actually going to be shooting, and 100 images. And we had to have the same conversation between you and I. It's like, wow, there's more at risk here.
Yeah.
If they don't get this back in time, it's just not going to be as valuable to them due to the nature of what we're shooting. So it's super important you understand what is the potential pain that this client might be facing, and then how do you price accordingly to that so that you have enough value coming to you so you can in turn create that value coming back to them. So we're going to talk about a couple different things here, but the big idea, as we've said earlier, is higher paychecks, bigger invoices come from solving more painful problems. Now, if you're thinking about a painful problem, I want to break down what a painful problem actually is to you, because painful problems can look different for different clients in different industries. But let's talk about cheap problems, okay? So cheap problems look like social media posts, event recap videos, quick brand photos. These are all things that are awesome to have, and they could actually very much help a business or help a brand grow. But the reality is, if it doesn't go well, it's not the end of the world. Right? If someone gets brand photos done and they're like, I don't really like how I look, I'm going to get them reshot another 2 months when I fix my hair. It's like, That's okay. Like it's not the end of the world.
not detrimental.
If a brand is just hiring you to shoot random social content, one-off social content, it's great. That's awesome. It's not the end of the world if that doesn't go well or if they don't even ever do it, right? So cheap problems are when you're focusing on shooting things for people that really don't have high stakes off the back. Now, Christy, break down, like when we say high stakes, what does high stakes mean?
Yeah, high stakes means that whatever the content is doing, it's going to cause a reaction. So whether it is their paid ads, like let's say someone's got, a paid ad library, they need content for a new product rollout that they have, they're going to push $5,000 behind this ad set, right? It is very, very important. It's very, very important.
Getting a phone call.
Getting a quick phone call. Very, very important that whatever content they're pushing out, that's a lot of risk, right? If you're putting money behind the content, ultimately, that is a higher risk piece of content. Therefore, the company should be thinking, you know what? We should probably invest more resource into this content because it's higher risk, right? Rather than just throwing out, an organic post here and there for the fun of it, hoping they get a sale, right? So that is a piece of high risk content. Or if they've got a new launch or a new campaign or something like that rolling out, that is going to be big for them, right? It could mean a great quarter. It could mean a terrible quarter.
Yeah.
And that is massive to understand how businesses work, how content plays a role in that, and where the high stakes content is or isn't. It's not always just about, that business makes a ton of money. They sell a ton of products. There is always going to be higher stake content in different aspects of the business. So figuring out where that is and then what the ROI is on it, super important.
Yeah, super important. So if you're thinking about getting more work this year in 2026, or you're taking kind of an audit of who you're currently working with right now and who your clientele is, ask yourself this question: am I shooting stuff that's kind of low risk? Like if it just doesn't go well or it doesn't ever get posted, it's not going to affect their business that much or their brand that much. If the answer to that is yes, I can probably tell you that most of your invoices look like $500, $1,500, $2,000, maybe $3,000 shoots, rather than focusing on like $5, $10, $15, $20,000 campaigns, right? Or $15,000 jobs that you're getting hired to do. And so as Christy said, it's super important if you're wanting to make more money. This is exactly what we told Will and the rest of the Round 15 Creative Rise Mastermind crew that joined us and started on Sunday on our welcome call. We told everybody this: if you're wanting more money out of each invoice, out of each client in 2026, you got to focus on product launches. You got to focus on marketing campaigns. You got to focus on shooting paid ads. You got to focus on revenue driving, revenue growth focused content, right?
Yeah.
And so it's very, very important that you focus on that. Those are things that are higher stakes.
Exactly. And we hear a lot of creatives are like, I just want to do videos and tell a company's story. And while that sounds really creative and special and cool, you have to connect it to why. You have to connect it to what is the bottom line revenue amount for that company. And maybe a headlining story film for their website is going to bring in a bunch of new revenue. Or you're maybe like, hey, I want to work with a local real estate group that's crushing it, but I know that if they were crushing it on socials, they'd be able to get a couple more clients, which would equal an insane amount of money for them, right? You have to think of these in what is the actual outcome that is being driven by the content that I'm doing? Is it high stakes and is it important? So it doesn't always have to be once a year campaign. That's only where the big deals are. You have to think, hey, even the monthly stuff, but how am I positioning myself? Am I positioning myself as someone who is the bridge to getting them to where they want to be, where their clients are? Or is this just more like, I want to tell your story. I want your content to be beautiful and aesthetic, or I want to make you look really cool. All those things feel like fluff.
Yeah.
You got to get to the bottom line of it.
It's a really, really big difference. And Christy's kind of playing hardball with you about that, but it's good. Like she should, right? It's true. You've got to really make sure that you are not just shooting fluff. There's no other way to say it. Like not everything that is pretty that you create is actually going to make a company, make a business, make a brand or a personal brand money. It's just not.
Yeah.
It might be enjoyable to them. They might still want to commission you to do it because they're excited about it, or they like that style of art or creativity and they think it's cool to represent themselves that way, but it doesn't always mean that it's going to have a lot of ROI attached to it. So focus on high stakes. So here's a quick example, okay? Quick story using my own life as an example. Now I'm going to pull an example from a couple years ago, take us back to 2018, 2019. And I'm just going back that far simply because I think this is a good example because it was the exact same product in the exact same industry.
Yeah.
And I worked with both of these companies. So one of them, I had this company called Palm Coolers on retainer. Okay. They were actually my first long-term retainer. I worked with them for 3 years. on contract, got them on a retainer. And the first contract was like, 3 months, and it went to 6 months, and it went to 12, and then I renewed the 12-month like twice. But they're awesome. They were a great, company that took a lot of opportunity on me early on in my career. And the unfortunate thing is they don't exist anymore. They got swallowed up by Yeti, right? Which is the big dog in the cooler industry. Now, the other brand that I'm going to be talking about in this example is Yeti. I also have worked with Yeti. And what's really interesting is that I was shooting 10 photos a month for Palm Coolers. I shot a campaign of 10 images to help launch Yeti into Canada and open up Yeti Canada. And the Palm Coolers deal when I first started was $500 per month for 10 images. So it was about $50 an image. And then I shot a campaign for Yeti that was $5,000 for 10 images, which is $500 per image. What's the difference here? It was the exact same product, exact same shoot, basically. I was shooting it on the same cameras. I had the same amount of, models there. It was like similar locations. You might even argue that some of the content I shot for Palm Coolers over the years was better
cooler,
than I shot for Yeti. And why now could I charge 10 times the amount for Yeti than I could for Palm Coolers? And if your answer to that is, well, Yeti's just a bigger company, they have more money. That's the wrong answer. The right answer is that Palm Coolers was like a startup. They were trying to make it, and they didn't have a lot of funding. They didn't have a lot of stuff going on. They weren't spending millions of dollars on ads per month. They were just like, hopefully we can, have this thing kick off, and we'll pay Joey, $500 a month to help us do that, get some social content out there, throw a few photos in our emails. Yeti was like, we're launching our products and distributorship into Canada for the first time. This is a nation of 37 million people. If we don't do this launch well, we're missing out on a lot of opportunity. So we have to launch properly when we go into this new country. Therefore, our content needs to be dialed. It needs to be from a Canadian. It needs to be from a Canadian's perspective in real Canadian places. And I live in California now, but I'm Canadian. I grew up in Canada. So I was a great fit. So they hired me to do this project. There was a lot of stakes on this because they were putting these photos on web, email, printing them in different places, all through brochures that were getting sent out to all their distributorships throughout Canada. This was a very, very high stakes content opportunity for them. So paying $500 an image to them, and now that I think about that, I'm like, back then, $5,000 for 10 images, I was super stoked about that. Thinking about it now, I'm like, price could have probably gone up even more. It was just so high stakes. So that really breaks down an example from my own career where it's not about how big the company is, it's about how big the opportunity they're going after is, and really how much it's going to hurt if they don't do it well. Because again, bigger paychecks come from bigger pain points, bigger potential issues. And if you can help them avoid that and seize the opportunity, the big opportunity that they're going for, there's more money coming to you in turn because of that, which is really, really important. So same creator, same cameras, same locations, yet a very, very different invoice got sent out to either of those companies, not because of how big each company was, but because how big what they were actually going after was, and there's more stakes involved in that.
And this comes down to positioning, you guys, because so many creatives think, hey, the way to get to bigger 5-figure deals is that I have to just have better gear, a bigger rig than the guy next door. I have to have more experience, more time. They want to know how long I've been in business. None of that matters, you guys. What matters is that you're positioning yourself as someone who is solving business problems, not just content problems. Yes. So if you are just solving content problems, hey, you just need more reels. Hey, I can shoot a video for you. Hey, I can do this. You're going to get lower ticket deals because you're not painting the fact that you are solving a business problem. You are not taking that authority and going, hey, this is what I'm going to do to solve this massive problem for you. And therefore you are then rewarded with the responsibility of solving that problem, which usually comes with a higher ticket. So let's talk about some practical ways to do this.
Yeah. So some practical takeaways, guys, for today's episode to get higher ticket deals is number one, I want you to study business strategy and content strategy. Don't just study how to make more beautiful work. Okay.
Yeah.
This is a call out. I'm calling you out. This is something that the creative industry, especially nowadays, I cannot go on socials. I cannot go on Instagram without seeing everyone flashing their FX3 builds and, their different cinema rig builds. And all these people are getting obsessed with the idea of building out these awesome camera systems and having this monitor, this mic, and these rails, and having everything dialed so they look super legit. But again, they're not focusing on how that product, that camera is actually going to help them understand how to make a company money.
Yeah.
You've got to focus on those things. I'm a fan of that stuff. Like I've got a bunch of gear behind me. Like I love that stuff. I could play Gearhead all day and talk to you about that. But at the end of the day, I know that's not, studying that stuff and getting obsessed with it is not what is going to make me more money. Once your work is a certain level of quality, it's all about your understanding of business strategy and content strategy and how those two things work together and how you can be the missing piece that can help a brand actually accomplish what they're trying to go after and accomplish. So practical tip number one is focus on studying business strategy and how you can add value to the businesses that you are pitching or you are currently working with, okay? So learn marketing, learn sales funnels, learn brand and content strategy, and learn how what you do. learn how what you do as a creative, the things you make, how do they add value to all of those ecosystems? How do they add value to a brand's email campaigns? How do they add value to a brand's product launches? How do they add value to a brand's website, brand's print advertising, initiatives? Study that stuff. Get super, super obsessed with it, and you will be having conversations. I promise you, you're going to find yourself having conversations that are much more lucrative than you were having before about $500, $1,000 videos or photos or, photo shoots here and there. Okay. And this also goes for like social media management. Like if you have social media management clients that are like $500 or $800 or even like $1,100, $1,200 a month, and you're like, how do I get it up to $2,500, $3,000 a month? It's by studying and really learning business strategy, content strategy, and social strategy, and the intersection of those things, and learning how to talk and position yourself at the intersection so you can actually be focused on brands that need your services but have higher stakes. Therefore, they're going to be able to pay you more because they're like, we need this done right. It can't get messed up, and we know there's more reward on the other side. So that's number one. Practical shift number one, study business and content strategy, okay? Practical shift number two is you got to now actually look for revenue-driven industries. Do not try and go sell a coffee shop a $10,000 video project. Don't know how many times we need to say it on this podcast.
Unless it's Starbucks. I don't know how many times we need to say this on this podcast, but like there's so many creatives that just target the wrong industries. They only go after industries that they feel quote unquote like align with their lives or their creativity.
And those things are all amazing. Christy and I love when we get to work with brands that align with our lives, align with the industries or the hobbies that we love doing. But at the end of the day, some of those things just aren't industries that have a lot of money flowing through them. So you got to focus on industries that have a lot of money flowing through them. So examples of this, like e-commerce, right? Products, like direct-to-consumer product brands, tourism, travel, hospitality, software, product brands. These are all industries that rely very heavily on marketing, aka they rely and have a massive need for good content, right?
And a little tip too, you want to go either high quality or high quantity, or both.
Or both.
Or both. That's the ticket.
The golden ticket is both.
And what I mean by that is high quality, meaning, hey, each new client that they have, each new product that they sell is going to make them a massive amount of money. So think of this as like, hey, a real estate agent, when they sell, if they're a high ticket real estate agent, every new client that they have, every new house they sell, they get a very, very large commission, right? Or let's say someone's selling expensive products, like above, $500 each product. That's going to be more of a high ticket product. So it can be a smaller company, but let's say it's a smaller company, but they're selling yachts, right? Every time they make a sale, if you bring in one new person, it's going to create a lot of revenue for them. Therefore, your $5,000 quote that you just gave them doesn't really bat an eye at that if you can prove that that $5,000 investment is going to bring them a $50,000 plus return on the new clients that it's going to bring, right? So think of that high quality or high quantity. It could be a coffee distributor, but there's not just a coffee shop, mom and pop down the road. They're selling $10 coffee bags. They're selling $10 coffee bags, but they're nationwide and they're pushing out thousands of them a month.
You and I love working in the beverage industry. We love shooting for drink companies, right? And a lot of the companies that we go after in the beverage space are like national or multinational brands. It doesn't matter what grocery store you walk into, you're going to find their products there.
Yeah.
The product might only be like $1 or $2 per can, but it's massive in terms of the quantity. They've got distribution everywhere. So that's an example of a high quantity company. And you want to go after high quality or high quantity companies because those are where they actually have ROI, right?
Exactly.
Those are higher leverage. They have higher stakes. They need you more. And if you can find a company that's high quality, high price, high ticket, and high quantity, aka like a Yeti, right? They're like the most expensive product in their industry, selling coolers for like $600, but they sell more coolers than everybody else on the quantity game as well. That's a perfect client, right? That's why it was great to work with them when I got to work with them. So those are things you want to think about, okay? And last but not least, number 3, the third practical takeaway for this is you want to pitch outcomes, not just pitch yourself. pitch outcomes, and tie them to the deliverables. Hey, you're going to buy these deliverables. This is what this project comes with. This is what this quote entails. Here's the deliverable breakdown. But here's how each of these deliverables is actually going to be used. And here's where it's going to add value to your business. You want to focus on those things. Don't just focus on, oh yeah, I can bring my FX3 or my cinema camera and we can shoot that. Oh, drone. Yeah, we can do drone stuff. Yeah. You know, if you have very cool, we got all our stabilizers. It's like, again, like that stuff's cool. It's fun to talk shop. But at the end of the day, if none of that stuff is communicated to the client on why it's actually going to turn into value for them and why that value is going to help them achieve what they're trying to achieve or avoid the pain that they're trying to avoid, none of it's meaning anything.
Yeah.
So it's very, very important you guys talk through that stuff. Okay. So
exactly.
In closing, if you're stuck with low paying clients, it is so important you write this down. Higher paychecks come from higher pain point problems that you are solving. Things, clientele, industries that have big pain points that content can solve if you focus on those industries, focus on those pain points, and strategically learn how to actually bring value to those and learn how to talk about that, learn how to communicate how you are a prescription for the pain points in those industries and your content is, you're going to see your paychecks go from $500 videos to $5,000 videos, going from $1,500 photo and video campaigns you're shooting to $15,000 photo and video campaigns. It's so important.
Yeah.
You learn this skill.
Absolutely. And that is what we are focusing on for the next 6 weeks with our 37 businesses that are part of Round 15. All of these businesses, whether they're ranging from just getting started or they're already doing over 6 figures, have decided to come in together to focus on community, accountability, and coaching in order to grow their creative business over the next 6 weeks. And I'm going to shout each one of them out.
Shout outs.
Because we got people from all over the world that are joining us. Actually, some really cool places too. So I'm going to jump in, read all of these, and we'll be out of breath by the end. But shout out
to Round 15.
Round 15, we have Owen Fisher from Portland, Oregon. We got Audrey Billups from Maui, Hawaii. We've got Dom and Jesso from Australia. We have Cole and Alex from Alberta. We have Lara from Los Angeles. We have Tammy from San Antonio, Texas. We have Sky from Canmore, Alberta. We have Brian Brewbreaker from Ontario, Canada. We have Abby Nielsen from Honolulu. We have Cassette from Maryland. We've got Carter from Ontario. We have Genevieve from Massachusetts. We've got Adam and Clara from Australia. We have Evan from Sydney. We have Gideon from Winnipeg, Manitoba. We have Julius from Victoria, BC. We have Mark Tuzman from Northern California. We have Patience from Puerto Rico. We have Chris from Southern California. We have Andy Young from Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. We've got Siobhan from Darwin, Australia. We have Ian McFadden from Denver, Colorado. We have Dave Fencheny from Sydney. We got Holly and Grant from Pennsylvania. We have Josh from Saskatoon. Let's go. Kim from Ohio. We've got Sydney from Southern California. We've got Darren from Charlotte. We've got Charlotte, North Carolina. We've got Zach from Rockland, California, Northern California there. We've got James Jin Lee from Vancouver, BC. We've got Isaiah Everett from Long Beach, California. We've got David from Dallas, Texas. We've got Emma Baskel from Kansas. We've got Julissa from Charleston, South Carolina. We've got Amelia from Virginia. We got Will from Texas. And we got Sydney from Chicago, Illinois, my birthplace.
A stacked list, guys. It's such a good crew. So 37 businesses all in for round 15. If you missed it, if you missed jumping on in to round 15 of the 6-week Creative Res Mastermind, where we help you build the 6 pillars of a 6-figure business in 6 weeks. The good news is round 16 is coming up in the fall. So you can join the waitlist right now. Go to creativeres.com. You can jump on any of the buttons that say join the waitlist, and you can get on the waitlist and get all the information about the upcoming mastermind round. But hopefully this episode, guys, was just so insightful for you. When we heard this question from Will, we're like, man, such a good question. So shout out to Will Latham from Texas. You asked a great question, prompted a fun episode. But share this with a friend. If this was helpful for you, it's probably helpful for a friend of yours that also runs their own creative business. Let us know what you think of the podcast. Review it. Apple Podcasts, leave us a comment on Spotify. Make sure you're following the show. Subscribe on YouTube, subscribe on Apple Podcasts, and subscribe on Spotify. And next week, we've got a fun episode coming out on pricing. We are actually making massive changes to the pricing calculator. It's a free resource we've given you guys for a couple of years now. And there's thousands of you guys that have access to it, have accounts on it, and use it regularly. So we've got a massive update coming to the pricing calculator we cannot wait to give you access to next week. You're going to hear all about it next week. So from us and the rest of the team here that makes this all happen, we're so glad you're here. Hopefully everything you heard today is going to help you build a better business this week, and we'll catch you next week.